Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful day. Just feels so relaxing and peaceful out here this morning. I don't know why, but it just does. If you listen close, I don't know if you can hear that. Hear those birds singing over there? Really, really precious. I really love that about coming out in the morning. Well, I was reading an article today, and this one I found quite amazing. So, apparently, in California, this individual goes into a restaurant, has a meal, da 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 da. At the end, she gets her check. And when she pays it, she notices there that there's a $5 charge for her and for her guests. Basically, $5 each. And it was for the medical services of the staff, like for their medical, benefits and things like that. And so she comes out and says, "Hey, well, look, what is this actual surcharge here?" And it was, reported back to her that, yeah, this is for our medical, benefits, for the workers. And she's like, well, wait a second, doesn't the employer pay for that? And they're like, oh, no, no, we're just, we're collecting it from the customers. Now, guys, if I was the owner of that restaurant, that is not how I would do it. But I suspect what it's like is when people open up their menu and they see the prices on there, that if they see something that was $10 is now 15, or something that was 20 is now 25, that might cut back on the sales. But then to actually put a surcharge at the end of the bill, in order to pass that healthcare cost on to your clients is something absolutely crazy. I mean, can you imagine walking up, and especially this, guys, they're not telling you beforehand that this is going to be added on there. Like most folks know, they go into a sit-down restaurant, they open up the menu, they see all the options there, they see the cost there, and they know there's a tip involved and what. But, to see these additional surcharges being added to the bill after the fact. I mean, can you imagine walking up to the door and saying, oh, by the way, there's going to be a surcharge for, the staff's health care passed on to you before you go in? You're probably going to be like, and out back, take a quick U-turn and you're out of there. It would be kind of interesting to see that if that's allowed in the restaurant industry. And hey, I'm not saying that there's not more cost than there was before. It's just how it's being presented. Now, imagine going into Target or a grocery store, and you'd finish off your order and you do all your groceries and stuff like that, and it gets to the end of the bill and you're expecting, okay, my order is going to be about $200, and then you see this $50 surcharge to pay for the staff's health care benefits. How do you feel about that? What, you mean that Target is not going to take care of that and take care of their employees and have all these, employee benefit packages and stuff like that it's just passed directly onto you? Most of us would be outraged to see that on our Target bill or on our grocery bill at the grocery store and things like that. And it is pretty shocking to see these things when you're at the restaurant, these additional surcharges. I think it's far better to actually show it as, hey, there's an increased cost of business, and so we're just going to, have to add the cost to the products that we're selling or such and such. That's normally how it goes. But it's almost like that we're going to be mentally conditioned that in order to actually enjoy these services and things like that the actual cost itself is going to be pumped out to us. And I'm telling you guys, from just a marketing standpoint, I don't think I would ever be, servicing a restaurant that literally was surcharging me for the medical benefits that they're giving their employees. Now, do I think that employees deserve medical benefits? Of course I do. But then let's reflect that truly in the cost of the product or the service. And this surcharge business, you don't know how much of that is actually genuinely going to go to pay for their medical services and stuff like that. And I'll tell you why I know that for a fact. When I was working in the government, one of the biggest issues and industries that we dealt with respect to the non-compliance of remitting payroll source deductions, that's where an employer has deducted the taxes off their employees' wages and things like that. Do you know it was the restaurant business that rarely ever was absolutely submitting the full amount that was actually deducted from the employees' paychecks? It was being pocketed by the owners, and we would have to chase these owners down and take some serious legal action in order to get them to comply. And most of it was in the restaurant business, one of the most volatile businesses there is. And in fact, a lot of businesses would rack up a huge payroll debt of taxes, and to the point where the restaurant would actually close and the employees would end up losing their jobs anyway. So how do we really know that these surcharges that are being added to our restaurant tabs for, apparently to pay for medical benefits are actually going to pay for medical benefits? There's no way of us truly knowing that. And so I think in a way it is kind of disingenuous. And I don't know about you, but I would find that shocking. And hey, if you've experienced something like that, put that down in the comments. I'd like to hear your story about it, because for me it seems rather shocking to actually surcharge people for medical benefits rather than just increasing the cost of the product or service and then saying, hey, we've had to raise our prices because of this and such. Anyway, that's kind of how I was thinking about that. So I certainly understand this woman's shock in this article when she saw this, and she really frequented this restaurant quite a bit, and this was the first time that she noticed this major change on her bill. So quite interesting. But guys, I really do believe, and from an economic standpoint, we're just going to see more and more of this kind of thing going on. Why is that? Well, it's because a lot of businesses are still genuinely struggling just to make it. It's not all roses and well and good like, they want us to believe now that we're getting back to full swing and things. No, a lot of service businesses are being absolutely and have been absolutely decimated. Some of these businesses had been around for almost 100 years and had to close up shop because of the way in which this government has absolutely decimated, the spending and the purchasing power of our dollars, causing the inflation of most things to just absolutely take off. When they tell you, oh, inflation, that is just such hogwash. Inflation is so far out of control, it is mind-numbing. And in fact, they don't even report all the things that affect our inflation in our, in these CPI reports. A lot of it doesn't even get put in there. Now, many of us know, look at a dozen eggs. We were just down at a store here, and I think a dozen eggs were like over $7.48. That's absolutely ridiculous when you consider, what it was not too long ago when it was like literally maybe about $3.50. I mean, that's 100% increase in probably just over a year. It's crazy. Not to mention, the price of beef and chicken and pork and all these various meat products that, we consume. The prices of those things have just gone wild. And the reason they have is because there has been this massive, look in Texas. I'll tell you one thing that happened here. The feed to actually feed the cattle was getting so ridiculously overpriced that a lot of cattle ranchers had to call their herds. And so what did they do? They went in and early, in a very big way, did a lot of butchering. Now, think about it in this regard. Okay, all that meat got butchered and you would think the price would come down, but no, the meat packers, what they've done is they've actually stored it and they've divvied it out, and it's really, the meat price hasn't gone down at all. And in fact, they have actually decimated the breeding stock. And so what you're going to see is going to take 2 to 3 years to get to the level of the herd sizes that once were. And so, of course, we're going to see massive increases in prices when it comes to foods and various things. So obviously, in that regard, you're going to see the increase in price being passed down into the restaurants. Now, hey, the restaurants have a whole lot more, expenses in there with, all these bills are coming out that say, hey, if you have to have 50 or more employees, you're required to have certain kind of healthcare and stuff like that. I get it. But let's be honest with the consumers. put it right out front there and make it known that that's what's going to be there, not with these sneaky little surcharges that you don't even know about. They're not on the door when you walk in. They're not on the menu when you're looking at the meal you want to order. You do understand there's a tip. You don't find out about it until you've actually, had your meal and the whole bit, and then they slap it on you. And of course, it comes as a big shock. And, a lot of people will get all ticked off and stuff like that. And they make these little, articles and posts about it. So, hey, different strokes for different folks. This economy is changing in a massive, big way. Anyway, that was the article that I read today. Not something too heavy, just something light and easy. But guys, I really hope that you're having a fantastic day. It is really beautiful out here, and I hope wherever you are, it's also really beautiful. Now, listen, I have a really amazing video to come out later on this afternoon that you are just going to love. It'll come out in the evening, and I hope until that time comes, you have a fantastic day, and take care.